The Word of God teaches that when Jesus shall appear, we shall be like him. However, for us to be like him then, we must be like him now. Do you want to be like Jesus? Well, if so, listen to this devotional written by Ellen G. White. And now, October 27th, our thinking is affected by our eating. Have you wondered if there's any relationship between eating and thinking? There's some things you eat and you think a certain way. When you eat too much, you think a certain way. And so it's a very interesting study. But let's look at Jeremiah 33 verse 6 and see what it says. God always promises to say he will heal us. And here he says, "Behold, I will bring it health and healing. I will heal them and reveal to them the abundance of peace and truth." Isn't that a wonderful promise that God has given to his people? It says that the principles of healthful living mean a great deal to us individually and as a people. When the message of health reform first came to me, this is Ellen White, I was weak and feeble, subject to frequent fainting spells. I was pleading with God for help, and he opened before me the great subject of health reform. He instructed me that those who are keeping the commandments must be brought into sacred relation with himself, and that by temperance in eating and drinking, they must keep mind and body in the most favorable condition for his service. We do not mark out any precise line to be followed in diet, but we do say that in countries where there are fruits, grains, and nuts in abundance, flesh meat is not the right food for God's people. I have been instructed that flesh meat has a tendency to animalize the nature, to rob men and women of that love and sympathy which they should feel for everyone, and to give the lower passions control over the higher powers of being. If meat eating was ever healthful, it is not safe now. Cancers, tumors, and pulmonary diseases are largely caused by meat eating. We are not to make the use of flesh meat a test of fellowship, but we should consider the influence that professed believers who use flesh meats have over others. As God's messengers, shall we not say to the people, "Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God"? Shall we not bear a decided testimony against the indulgence of perverted appetite? Will any who are ministers of the gospel, proclaiming the most solemn truths ever given to mortals, set an example in returning to the flesh pots of Egypt? Will those who are supported by the tithe from God's storehouse permit themselves by self-indulgence to poison the life-giving current flowing through their veins? Will they disregard the light and warnings that God has given them? The health of the body is to be regarded as essential to growth in grace and the acquirement of an even temper. If the stomach is not properly cared for, the formation of an upright moral character will be hindered. The brain and nerves are in sympathy with the stomach. Erroneous eating and drinking, therefore, results in erroneous thinking and acting. Interesting. The Review and Herald, March 3rd, 1910. Now, when you look at the life of Jesus, he did all to the glory of God. He ate to glorify God. Before he ate, he thanked God. And he was very particular about what he ate. He was the perfect example for us. And never did he indulge in appetite, even though he was called gluttonous, because he usually spent time with people, with the sinners to be specific, and ate with them, and was invited at their houses. But Jesus said of himself, "I have kept my Father's commandments." And he calls us to do the same. It is for our own health. If you eat the right way, you will think the right thoughts. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow for another devotion of the day.